In 2021, Americans quit their jobs at record speeds, fueling the Great Resignation because businesses needed people more than people needed jobs. This was a great time for employees because now you could quit and hopefully find your dream job, but it was a not so good time for employers because now you were struggling to find employees that would stay at your company. But then in 2022, something changed. First, our economy started to slow down and the Federal Reserve Bank started to raise interest rates to fight inflation, which caused even more layoffs. That was when the slowdown in the economy started to flip the Great Resignation, first because millions of people regretted quitting their jobs after realizing that their new job wasn't going to be all rainbows and sunshine like they thought it was going to be, and second because the same opportunities weren't out there anymore, people started something called quiet quitting. Now if you're like me and have no idea what the term quiet quitting is, let me read you the definition from the CNBC article. Quiet quitting is when you are still performing your duties, but you're no longer subscribing to the hustle culture mentality that work has to be our life. The reality is it's not, and your worth as a person is not defined by your labor. Now, from a more spiritual perspective, of course, your worth should not depend on your job or your title, your degree, or whatever job that you do. That's completely separate. But if we're talking about just your work from a financial perspective, and you don't like your job or you're thinking about quitting, I want to give you two different pieces of advice. One, from an employer's perspective, especially in this changing economy, and then second, from a random guy on YouTube's perspective in this changing economy right now. Let me start by talking about the employer's perspective because this one's going to be a little bit quicker. Employers want team members or employees who are passionate about their positions, and the higher up you go in a company's food chain, the more that this passion matters. Now, of course, if you don't like your job, if you hate your job, if you don't like what you're doing, if you don't feel fulfilled, you want to be looking for something else because you're never going to be able to succeed or excel professionally or mentally or spiritually if you hate what you do. So if you hate what you do, look for something else. Okay, it's not worth your time or effort trying to do something you hate for the rest of your life just for a paycheck. Second, if we talk about more from an economic side, I can tell you from experience that we are seeing an economic slowdown. Like even here, just from a very, very basic example, because we have here at the Minority Mindset Companies, we have the Minority Mindset, we have our blog, we have the Market Briefs newsletter, I have a Market Insiders app, and I have some other companies in the works as well. And we've seen slowdowns. Like some companies are not spending as much in advertising because they're scared about the economic slowdown. We've seen our YouTube advertising fall per view because companies are spending less money on advertising. So you just got to understand that you are entering a time where the economy is slowing down, and you're seeing more and more companies do hiring freezes, and you're seeing more and more companies do layoffs. So what does this mean for you? Well, that means that there's probably going to be less opportunity for jobs in the future, where the job market will flip, where people will need jobs more than businesses will need people. And so this is something that you want to understand, especially if you're thinking about quitting, and especially if you're thinking about doing the silent quitting, where you're just going to essentially do the bare minimum job for your company. Because if that were to happen here in my companies, you'd be out very fast. And you got to understand what type of company you work for, because sure, maybe you can slide by when things are good, profits are high, but if things start to slow down, then the people that are not overachieving are going to be the first ones to go. And this is where you got to be just aware of what type of company you have and what type of culture you're working for. Because some companies, yeah, maybe you have much more of a lax culture where it doesn't matter so much how hard you work. But other companies, especially startups, especially more of those edgy companies, it matters a lot how much passion you have and how much effort you put in. And if you don't put in that effort, if you don't have the passion, you're going to be out very quickly. Now, if you hate the general idea of working, because there are some people out there that are like, I don't want to work, then the best way out is to now invest your money, become wealthy, that way you don't have to rely on an income anymore. I wouldn't say go out and start a business because that's even more work, but actually invest your money, that way you build up a nest egg, that way you build up your wealth, that way you don't have the same need to go out and work. Now, how do you do that? Well, you just start by investing your money. You can start with as little as $100, but you want to make sure you have a good platform. If you're looking for a good platform that can help you invest your money into things like stocks or cryptocurrency, well, then you can check out our partner and sponsor, FTX US, because FTX US makes it super simple for you to invest your money, not just into stocks, but also cryptocurrency. Because now if you want to dollar cost average invest your money, all you got to do is push a few buttons. And let's just say you want to invest your money in cryptocurrency. Well, then you can enter in which cryptocurrency you want to buy, and then you can pick the frequency. Do you want to buy it once, once a month, once every 2 weeks, once a week, or once a day. And then once you pick your frequency, you're all set. Now, this is where you have to understand risk and reward, and you have to understand your long-term horizon, because the more risk you take, the more potential reward you have. And it also depends on how long you're willing to invest your money, which can help mitigate your risk, because cryptocurrency is significantly riskier than investing your money in stocks. But at the end of the day, the long-term real wealth is built through long-term investing in good assets, good, strong, fundamental assets for the long term, and you keep consistently, passively, automatically investing your money. And FTX US makes it super simple for you to do that, whether it's stocks, whether it's cryptocurrency. And the nice thing about FTX US is their fees on investing your money in cryptocurrency are so much lower than pretty much every other major brokerage out there. So more of your money can go to actually making you wealthy and buying more of your crypto instead of just making your brokerage richer. And they have a promotion going on right now where if you use my referral link down in the description below, and then you enter in the referral code minority, it will also give you some free cryptocurrency after you trade $100 worth of crypto on their app. So if you want to learn more and see how you can invest in crypto and stocks with FTX US, I'll put the link to how you can do it down in the description below. Now let me flip gears and talk about this from the perspective of a random guy on YouTube, because now we could talk about two different things. We could talk about this more from a spiritual happiness standpoint, and then we could talk about this from a plain financial standpoint. Because spiritually, if again, just like I said before, if you don't like your job, if you don't feel fulfilled, if you don't have the time to do the things you love because you have to go into the office every single day, if you feel like your company is not treating you right, if you don't like the way that your work works, then you want to consider leaving. But then you also want to balance that with the financial side, because the reality is our economy is slowing down. The reality is companies are pulling back some of the job offers, and the reality is that some companies will go bankrupt over the next couple of years. So now that being said, you want to make an educated decision about what you do with your job and your career. Having a job that will pay you more money is nice. You have to be able to balance the decision of lifestyle versus income, because some companies will pay you more income, but your lifestyle will be worse. Other companies, you'll have a much better lifestyle. You can work from home. You'll have more flexibility. You'll have more freedom. Maybe you'll have to work less hours, but your income will probably be less. Now, ideally, you'll find a company that will give you a good lifestyle and a high income, but for most companies, you're going to have a trade-off where it's income versus lifestyle, and you have to understand where in your career that you are and what decision is better for you right now. Because for some people, yeah, you know what? Sometimes you got to make a sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice your lifestyle for the next 5 years, the next 7 years, the next 10 years. That way you make more money, so you have more money to put aside for your investments, to buy whatever you want, to build your wealth. That way then for the next 10 years, you can work a whole lot less and have a whole lot more freedom. But for other people, you're going to hate that and you're going to say, I am not willing to do that. I don't want to do that. I can make a lesser income and still have money to put aside for my investments. If your company is not paying you enough for you to actually be investing your money, then this is where you have to look at your income and your expenses. If you can't cut your expenses more so you have money to invest, then you have to be able to put in more sacrifices. That way you can earn more money. And this is where you have to understand your lifestyle and just understand the way to build wealth is a very simple formula. Your income minus your expenses equals your investments plus your savings. Your investments right here will make you actually wealthy. This is how wealthy people make their money, and this is how wealthy people keep their money. Your savings are just there to protect you from a financial emergency, and so this is where you have to focus on if you want to become wealthy. Now, these expenses right here are what make you look rich. This is having a nice car, having a big home, having the fancy vacations, having all the nice stuff. All these things make you look rich, but they give you less money left over to actually invest your money, which is how you'll actually become rich. So this is where now you have to understand that emotions and feelings don't really have a part in this financial wealth equation. It's all numbers. And so emotions and your happiness are good and they're very important and they allow you to live a fulfilled life. But this is where you have to understand that maybe you have to put in the sacrifice of doing something you don't like. That way you can have more income. That way now you can actually put more money towards your investments over here. And this is going to also depend on which stage of the life that you're in. Because when I was first starting off as an entrepreneur, I had no social life. I had no freedom. I had no weekends off. I didn't have holidays off. I worked my butt off because I didn't have any experience. I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have $100,000 or $1 million gifted to me. I had to start from scratch and I had to figure it out. And all I knew was if I could work hard, hopefully I'll be able to figure it out sooner. So I was working around the clock every single day. And now I still work a lot, but I'm not working the same way that I did back when I was 21 years old, when I was working around the clock 7 days a week. I still work long hours, I still work a lot, but I definitely eased up from the hours that I was putting in back then. So now if we put all the puzzle pieces together, the first thing you gotta do is take a look at your own investment formula and see what type of income that you need in order to support your lifestyle and in order to support your investments. Second, you need to take a look at where you are in your life and what type of life you want to live right now. Are you in the hustle stage or are you in the I'm going to take it easy stage? So you got to understand where you are over there. And the third, you got to take a look at the economy and understand what type of industry that you're in. Are you in a high risk industry? Are you in a safe industry? And are you in a good company where you have a lot of stability? Or do you want to take that risk and go to another company where you might have more risk or less risk? And so you want to put all these three pieces together: the economy, your lifestyle, and then your personal financial situation. And this is where now you can make a much more educated and a much more well-defined decision about what you want to do in your life and your career right now. That way you don't jump and make a decision and then potentially regret it later. If you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're struggling with your money and you can't figure out how to get ahead financially, you have two options. First option is you can kick, scream, complain, and cry about it. You can talk about how your bank screwed you over, how your credit card company is keeping you in debt, how your student loans are the reason why you're broke, how your corporation is screwing you because they're not paying you enough, about how the system and everything around you is keeping you broke and is keeping you struggling.